just going to put you back here for just a second, okay? Just one momento.
No problem.
All right. Just have a seat right here, okay?
Okay.
Jeff, we have the court documents that were just filed yesterday indicating that the government is considering pursuing the death penalty against the alleged leader Edenilson Velasquez Lauren. The 33-year-old alleged gang leader is accused of ordering multiple murders in an attempt to squash competition from rival gangs. According to the government, MS-13 traffics large amounts of cocaine and marijuana throughout Long Island. In the court documents, the government also say it's planning for 3 different trials of 25 different alleged MS-13 members, including Velasquez Lauren. No trial dates have been set just yet, but the court papers indicate that they could take place in late 2024 or even 2025.
Welcome to Urban Crime Chronicles, where we bring you nothing but the truth. At night, I can't sleep. I toss and turn. Candlesticks in the dark. Visions of bodies being burned. 4 walls just staring at her. I'm paranoid, sleeping with my finger on the trigger. My mother's always stressing. I ain't living right. But I ain't going out without a fight. See, every time my eyes close, I start sweating and blood starts coming out my nose. This year, Halloween fell on a weekend. Or did it? The feds on Halloween would indict some of the most dangerous people that came into New York City to wreak havoc. Murder is and always has been a part of what they have done. MS-13 would wreak havoc across Long Island and Queens. At the top of the list, the shot callers. Edenilson Velasquez Lauren and Hugo Diaz Amaya. Lauren was known as Tiny and Amaya known as Splinter. They are allegedly 2 of the highest ranking U.S. members of the international gang based out of El Salvador and Honduras, both organized presence called cliques across the U.S. that are especially prevalent in Queens and Long Island. The head of the United States who runs the gang, according to the feds, is a group of senior members that is called the La Mesa. Those are the men that run the criminal organization, mostly from prison. Until their arrests, Splinter and Tiny were 2 of the last remaining members of La Mesa not sitting in a prison. The feds would charge both with ordering numerous murders from 2016 to 2022. One of those that was on the list was Eric Monet. He was hit up in his car moments after his wife and children had walked away. September 6, 2020 would be the last day that Eric's family would see him alive. 3 MS-13 members would walk up on his car and unload a barrage of bullets into his body. One of the men, Jose Tranquilo Guevara Aguilar, would run back to the getaway car, dropping his hat. That hat would have his DNA in it, and cops would trace it back to him and back to the killing of the young father. His violation for being killed, he had jumped on Oscar Hernandez Barras when they had an argument, another one of the homies. Now Oscar had wanted some get back. For Eric, what he thought would never happen just happened. His homeboys had taken his life, and according to the feds, it was Splinter that gave the order. But Eric was only one of many victims that the big homies would call for to be executed. Everybody could become food for MS. 18-year-old Kenny Reyes would show up in the USA from Honduras thinking his life was about to get better. But little did he know that when he met Jose Cable Sanchez and Splinter, it would be the end of him. Splinter thought he belonged to another gang, 18th Street. Because of it, he was now on the menu. At the time in May 2016, Splinter felt that getting rid of Reyes would help elevate him and Cable in the gang. Taking lives of rivals will push you ahead in this criminal underworld. With his confederate Jose Cable Sanchez and Tiny, they would lure Kenny into the woods on May 23, 2016, telling him they were going out to smoke some weed. Once Kenny got there, Splinter would hit Kenny from behind first with the MS-13's most trusted weapon, the machete. Kenny would scream out in fear from the first blow. Kenny tried to run, but Jose Cable was there to catch him with his machete. Kenny would fall to the ground and be brutalized until he could breathe no more. Once it was over with, they would bury his body in the woods. The shot callers would join in, telling the homies they would never tell them to do something that they wouldn't do. Tiny and Splinter had black hearts and became killing machines. But were they serial killers? There were so many lives on the menu that some people never heard of what was happening. On November 4, 2018, the homies decided that it was time for Victor Alvarenga to go, and that he did. Abel Massa would be another victim of the group, who are now becoming, with some fear, serial killers. On February 3rd, Massa was being hunted and never knew it. The crew found out he ran with 18th Street, and now he too had to go. The hunters would run up on him on the train in Queens with a gun out. Massa would wrestle it from one of his attackers. But one of the homies, Cara de Malo, would win the war as he yelled in Spanish, "Nobody gets involved, we're MS-13, we're gonna kill him." Cara would get the gun back and unload on Massa taking his life. Brutality and no remorse. Abel Massa would look up at the sky on February 3rd, 2019, knowing that this is what his life had become. Oswaldo Gutierrez Medrano was 20 years old and thought he was about to get a promotion in MS-13. It had always been his dream to be a leader. Splinter and Tiny would lure him into the woods in Nassau County, where he thought it would be his big day, only to be hacked up by the killing machines that had devastated New York. They would take his life and then dismember him, burying his body parts throughout the woods. Leila Carenza, she too, would be part of MS-13. She would lure 17-year-old Andy Peralta to a park in Queens, New York, so that he could be fatally beaten, stabbed, and strangled. The feds had previously charged alleged MS-13 associates, Juana Maya Ramirez and Oscar Flores Mejia, with Andy's murder. Andy's killers, in the act of stupidity, would seal their own fate by photographing themselves posing over Andy's corpse while they displayed MS-13 gang signs with their hands. The photo was found in Amaya Ramirez's iCloud account by authorities, according to prosecutors. No way out of that one. He had sealed his own fate and those that posed with him. But who are these men wreaking havoc on New York? Are they really serial killers? The feds say La Mara Salvatrucha, also known as MS-13, was a transnational criminal organization and is, with members and associates located throughout Queens, New York, Long Island, New York, and elsewhere. They're divided into local chapters or cliques, including the Fulton Loca Salvatruchas clique, the Indios Loca Salvatrucha clique, and the Parkview Loca Salvatruchas clique. Since approximately 2021, virtually all MS-13 cliques in the United States have been united under a single hierarchy known as the U.S. program. The U.S. program is led by a group of senior gang leaders, most of whom are incarcerated, known as La Mesa, or the Table. La Mesa, among other roles, allegedly authorized and directs murders throughout the country, including in New York. Prior to their arrests, Velasquez Larin and Diaz Amaya were allegedly two of the few members of La Mesa outside of prison. Velasquez Larin was living in Colorado, and Diaz Amaya was living in Kansas, tucked away. They were among the top leaders responsible for the gang's operations on the East Coast. They were calling the shots in New York, and they were there to administer the pain when it was needed or when they felt that it was needed. The indictment reads like a scary book. It points out that MS-13 routinely held meetings to plan criminal activity, and members and associates paid dues into a treasury. The treasury funds were used to purchase drugs, as well as firearms, ammunition, and other weapons for use in criminal activity. Additionally, treasury funds were sent to MS-13 members in Central America and to MS-13 leaders in the U.S. Members and associates of MS sometimes signified their membership and association with the colors blue and white, and with graffiti and tattoos reading, among other things, 13, MS, and Mara Salvatrucha, frequently written in Gothic lettering. Members and associates of MS-13 engaged in acts of violence, including acts involving murder, assault, kidnapping, and robbery, as well as other criminal activity, including narcotics trafficking and money laundering. Participation in criminal activity by a member or associate, especially violence directed at rival gang members or at MS-13 members or associates believed to have violated the enterprise rules, increased the respect accorded to the member or associate, and could result in a promotion to a high rank with the gang or a leadership position. This would motivate young men to kill. Members and associates of MS-13 would purchase, maintain, and circulate a collection of firearms and other weapons for use in criminal activity. Nothing was off limits, and everything could get you a promotion. But violence always has a way of making you rise up the ranks. Splinter and Tiny, national MS-13 leaders, assumed the role of executioner by ordering or participating with the other homies in a series of brutal murders to achieve status and revenge, according to the feds. But now it's time to pay the price, a heavy price. What do you think the feds will do with them? Will it be death or will it be life in prison? There are only two options when the feds show up.